So, hello there, everybody. I'd like to thank you for joining us today for our very first webinar, Capri Healthcare. It is the start. We're going to be running a series of 6 webinars. So our very first one is leveraging AI with TriVice and transforming referral management within the NHS. So it will be a very insightful webinar. And today we have on the panel our co-founders, Valleesh and Krishna, also innovators of the company. And we're very delighted to have our guest speaker, Dr. Andrea Jester, who's a clinical lead for Birmingham Women and Children's Hospital. At the end, we will have a question and answer session, so you will have the ability to pose any questions to the panel, and you will receive a recording of this webinar at the end. So I'd like to first hand you over to our co-founder and innovator, Valleesh.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar. We are going to talk about how through TriVice we are making a difference in the referral management within NHS. And we're going to talk about the things that we will cover is what are the challenges that we currently face within NHS when it comes to referral management within secondary care. And we're going to see how our solution TriVice is making a difference. And finally, we'll talk about the impact that it has on the patient care. But before I go into the details of the product, let me talk you through a little bit of our journey of how we started. So way back in 2019, I and my co-founder, Krishna Thakur, we embarked on a mission to make a difference in the way some of the processes take place within NHS and to make a difference in NHS. We started our working through with the primary care general practices, creating a digital solution for patients so that they could reach out to their GPs effectively and get the information or content, medical content, quite easily. Around the same time, we were informed of some of the challenges that Birmingham Children's Hospital hand and upper limb department were facing in terms of getting overwhelmed by phone calls and emails regarding advice and guidance and triaging. So we started working very closely with them, and for next 8 months, we worked on a solution which was very innovative, quite unique in its characteristics and features, and we built TriVice. And we piloted TriVice with BCH's ED for next 6 months, and finally learning from the how things work in an ED and how the clinicians actually utilize these kinds of products. We learned a lot, and in early 2021, we finally launched the product to the entire Midlands region. And since then, we've been learning, innovating, and we are quite happy to see how the product has made a difference out on the field, making a difference to the clinicians, making a difference to the patient's outcome. Now, when it comes to leading innovation in healthcare, it is a quite challenging work, but it's quite a bit rewarding as well. And there's a constant push for improvement as the technology changes around the world. We see a constant eagerness by our stakeholders and patients to see newer techniques. But at the same time, there is quite a bit of rigor and push towards a deeper understanding of medical complexities and the information governance ethics around patient safety and patient experience. So that adds a lot of challenge, but it's extremely rewarding. And Capri Healthcare has been a pioneer in this space. We have implemented or created a product that is making life of many patients so much easier on a daily basis. And our journey has been characterized by a lot of learning, our relentless pursuit for uh, keeping the solution simple and efficient, making communications better, and ultimately making lives of clinicians and patients better than what it is today. And in this process, we have produced a product called TriVice. TriVice, triage, referral, and advice. TriVice is a cutting edge solution. It's a AI assisted tool, and it leverages cutting edge AI algorithms and machine learning algorithms to basically consume the medical data coming from the patients, analyzing it, triaging those referrals on the base, categorizing those referrals based on the severity, and sometimes also making use of underlying business rules that are very much specific to individual hospitals or care settings. Now, in terms of the challenges that NHS secondary care faces, and this is something that we have learned over the years talking to various specialists in secondary care. One of the biggest challenges they face is the number of unnecessary referrals that come in from various, either from coming from ED or primary care or other community care referrers. So the number of referrals that come in into secondary care, there's quite a bit of unnecessary ones that come in. Now, this is adding to the existing burden that the clinicians already have. So, on top of having large volumes of patients that they have to see, there's a significant number of unnecessary ones, the ones that can be seen in the community care or in the primary care, and they need not be seen by the specialist in the hospital. So overall, it is quite a bit of burden on specialists. Of course, we all know there's a ever increasing demand for specialist care, and that adds to the existing waiting time and the backlog. And of course, on the patient side, there is a complete disparity in how patients um, get access to the specialist care at the right time at the right place. So that is quite a bit impacted. Now, as I mentioned earlier, TriVice uses quite a bit of AI in its heart. So we have been hearing quite a lot about AI in the world. TriVice makes uses of some of those technologies, the large language models, the algorithms, clinical algorithms, and the pathways. So we leverage all of that, keeping in mind the underlying medical rules, the medical ethics, and how a product can only assist a clinician rather than actually diagnosing a case. And in terms of categorizing the patients based on its severity, TriVice has 4 levels of categorization. We have immediate for cases that require they are life-threatening and require immediate access to the specialist. Then we have urgent care. The patients, those can be seen maybe in 24 hours time rather than immediate. We have routine cases, some of the cases that come in from primary care, from GPs, those could be routine elective cares. And then finally, interestingly, we have a category called treat locally. So these are the cases where um, the patients can be treated at the primary care itself, at the referring site itself, rather rather than being seen by the specialist. So we have a significant portion of cases that are treated locally, and that is actually the beauty of the entire product. And this prioritization has helped the patients avoid unnecessary travel. It has helped clinicians by focusing their time onto the cases that absolutely require their attention. It has helped in making use of resources appropriately within a department, and you'll hear more about this from our guest speaker, Dr. Jester. So you will see how on the ground this is making a difference to not only clinicians, but also to the patients. And finally, if we were to talk about the impact of what we have done so far, in last 3.5 years, we now have managed to process over 3,000 referrals through TriVice. We have over 1,500 doctors across Midlands that are using TriVice on a daily basis, and it really pleases the team and pleases me quite a bit that we are making a difference to individual patients on their day-to-day lives. The workflow has improved. So we've had implementation of TriVice within the healthcare settings. And as I said earlier, it has really made an impact to a significant portion of patients that do not have to travel to hospitals and are treated through advice and guidance right at the primary care or at the ED level where they are originally seen. So that being
Perfect.
said, I will hand over back to Jacqueline, and we'll carry on with the rest of the presentation.
Lovely. Thank you, Valleesh. And it was really interesting to hear about the journey. Very important behind every company. What is the journey? And it's been a great journey that you guys have been on. But also innovation, the fact that you're innovators, and I think it demonstrates how important innovation is, especially in healthcare, to make such meaningful, transformative decisions in deciding what product you're going to innovate, which will really make a difference. So thank you for that. So we're now going to cross over to Andrea. So I'm just going to share another screen. And I would like to now hand over to Dr. Med Andrea Jester, and she will now present to you her presentation.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline. It might be a bit strange to see Dr. Med, but I've graduated from Germany, so I'm a plastic and hand surgeon from Germany, working in the UK now for 15 years. But that's why the Dr. Med is in front of my title and not a Mrs. or a Miss only. So just that as a little explanation why you see a doctor in front of a surgeon's title. And Jacqueline, I'm not the clinical lead for the Birmingham Children's Hospital. I don't want to do that. We have an excellent medical director. I am just the lead for our service. So I want to highlight a little bit the journey we've had. I have no disclosures to make. So if we just go to the next slide, I have no disclosures. I have no shares in the company, but maybe I'll buy some shares in a couple of years' time. We'll see. The situation, like in many departments, is that our on-call team, so we cater for a region of around 6 million, so a lot of the West Midlands, because they don't have pediatric hand surgical or plastic surgical units for trauma, will send to us. So our on-call team in a 24-hour shift pre-COVID, before we had TriVice, had up to 80 phone calls. And you can imagine, like in many units, it's not only the phone calls they have to answer, they have to do prescriptions, they have to be in theatre. So an on-call team has quite a lot of things to do, which then all this in part unnecessary phone calls, which could have been dealt with differently, took away a lot of the time. And therefore they were rushed. We were unfortunately also reported to the GMC and to the deanery that our workload is just too high for the trainees and the fellows. Major time management issues, and although we had some pathways, they were not very robust pathways, and the fellows and the trainees on the phone had to wing it a lot of times. We sat down, we were put into contact with Capri. I didn't know Capri beforehand. We were put into contact with Capri, and we started to have discussions, what do we actually need? And our needs were very, very clear. We didn't want to be inundated with phone calls that could be safely dealt with in a different way. So a lot of phone calls, where to come, what to do, where to send, when can you see the patients, are all questions that can be answered by an intelligent pathway. So that was the first requirement that we had. It needed to be very flexible, because we didn't only want to design it for hand and upper limb and plastics trauma. We wanted to also make it possible for other specialities like ophthalmology, rheumatology, extravasations to utilize the same platform later on if we feel that that is a viable platform. So the pathways had to be quite flexible and bespoke. And we wanted the whole thing to be AI driven, so that if a referral comes in, that the platform itself triages it, and it's not a human triaging, but that you can imagine also means that it needs to be very, very safe, very robust, because we can't afford to have a wrong triaging. So whilst the pathways were made and designed by the clinicians, so everything was very clinician driven, we also had lots of testing that it's a robust platform. The main thing for us is in hands and plastics and trauma that we live a lot of times from photographies being shared. Photos needed to be able to be shared, and we needed to be able to confer, to discuss with the referring clinician if that was necessary. So we started with the basic version of this referral platform, and very quickly were able, or Capri was very quickly able to integrate it entirely into the NHS. It was integrated into our trust system, so that means that any referral, any decision that is taken by the by TriVice is automatically sent into our electronic patient record, into our EPR. And that is basically a live integration. So the moment the referral comes in, TriVice pushes it into our EPR, and we see the whole thing in the EPR, which was really important for us, because like many other hospitals, we are switching from an old EPR to Epic next year. And it was important that not only it is integratable into the old EPR, but also will be integrated into Epic. And then we obviously have the we told TriVice how to triage. In our case, the triaging was very important. We wanted cases. Can we just go back, Jacqueline, to the previous one, please? In our cases, we wanted reject and advise. That means certain cases, like I'll give an example, simpler fingertip injuries. We didn't feel that the child needed to come to us, and we rejected the referral, but equally we gave exact advice with leaflets and how to wash, how to glue, how to steri-strip certain simpler injuries. The second pathway that was important for us, yes, we are happy to see the patient, but bring it back the next day. We don't need to really talk to the referrer, because the platform itself will send starvation instructions to the patients. We'll talk to the patient if necessary. We'll send instructions to the referrer. So the referrer can basically wrap the patient up, send them home, because everything else is done by TriVice, which brings the patient back the next day to when we exactly said. In our case, we want the patient at 10 o'clock on a surgical daycare unit and staffed and ready to be operated if necessary. And only the most important things, accept and refer immediately. Then the referrer has potential to press a button and will be transferred directly to the on-call registrar or on-call consultant. So there's no need to go via switchboard, because the TriVice registers who is on call. So those are our pathways, but those are entirely configurable. And at the moment, our ophthalmology department has also gone live with TriVice in a much wider, much broader platform than we have done. And maybe there will be some opportunities also to see how GPs, how opticians, and how others refer. In our case, it's usually only A&E consultants from all the referring units. Next. So when you look how many patients we have seen and dealt with, so we've seen 1,700, almost 2,000 soft tissue injuries, which is usually, in our case, smaller lacerations or lacerations which then need exploration, but we've also had a significant amount of hand and wrist fractures. The very nice thing is also that TriVice is compatible for those of you who might be part of the Hands First 2 project, which is a national QI project from the Royal College of Surgeons. So TriVice is able to push the data directly into REDCap, so it's a lot less onerous to put to fill those in. So TriVice is also able to connect to quality improvement projects, and this case a national QI project. Next. This is how it looks like. We felt that it's really important that it's very, very simple, not too complicated, and that the dashboard is simple even for thicker fingers like mine, so that if you press, you don't press the wrong button, and that it's very, very clear. Next. And this is how it will look like on the referring side, on the receiving side, so the person who's receiving. Next. Here are the triage outcomes that I've mentioned to you prior: reject and advise. Really nice, because you can use it for elective referrals as well. We are starting hopefully to use it for tongue ties, for trigger thumbs, for a lot of elective stuff where the GP is not really sure what to do with the patient, but you can reject and give advice, whilst at the moment this needs to be done by a human. Next. So, and now the crux of the whole thing, because that's the important thing. Has it helped us? Absolutely. The main thing was that this constant phone calls that we've received, this 80 phone calls that you remember from the beginning, have reduced significantly. In the first 2 years, it was quite difficult to explain to the referring clinicians, no, you have to use TriVice. No, you have to use TriVice. Nobody knew what is TriVice, so you had to send them the link. You had to urge them. But now, after 2 years, every single referrer in the region knows about TriVice. And whilst in the beginning, we had to explain to almost every referrer what we are dealing with, now everybody knows it and everything comes via TriVice. The nice thing is also that TriVice push it to our hospital at night and to our bed booking system. So that has made things a lot easier for us as well. That bed bookings, if trauma is done the next day, is automated as well. We've significantly reduced the time that it takes from referral to treatment, because the patients don't have to wait in the referring unit, let's say in our case, West Midlands. They don't have to wait in Dudley or New Cross for hours for us to come back and tell the referring clinician what to do. TriVice tells them exactly what to do. The patient goes home and then either comes back the next day or is treated immediately there. So it's significantly reduced the time. Next. We've tried to look at the time, and you can imagine that is quite difficult. In our own ED, because our ED also has to use TriVice, so they're not allowed to pick up the phone and then say, can you please come down? Previously, that's what happened. They picked up the phone. They said, the plastics registrar, can you come down? There's a fingertip injury. If we were in theatre or busy, otherwise we couldn't come down. Now, They use TriVice, and TriVice tells them what to do. And we have at the same time also had a teaching program how to treat fingertips, how to treat smaller fractures on their own so that they don't need us. And you can see we have a significant reduction in time from waiting up to 70 minutes up to now the response is there and obviously can be dealt with. So significant time saving, which especially in a busy ED nowadays, where people are sitting in EDs for a long, long time and holding up a space instead of a quick throughput is really important, especially in our pediatric ED. Next. So in summary, we have immediate treatment because TriVice designed by us, and we told TriVice what to tell the referrers, gives immediate advice, very, very clear pathways, quite efficient specialist care. And the reason why we say specialist care is because we do with our advice and guidance, we do give what we think is the gold standard, and we can change it. If we feel that there is a change in a pathway, we can change it pretty quickly within a couple of days by talking to the company. Significant time saving for ED and for the patient who doesn't have to wait and wait and wait for the specialist to come down. So that speaks for itself. That's feedback from our ED clinicians. So from our own ED clinicians, we had significant pushback at the beginning. You can imagine if you introduce such a new technology with bad Wi-Fi in the hospital, with people not having enough Wi-Fi internet. So it was really difficult. But that are the comments, and those are not my comments. Those are really the comments that we had. But it meant in the first year or two, we had to do quite a lot of coaxing and coaching and tell the people, please use it, please use it. So I won't lie, the first time is always a little bit tricky to persuade somebody to use a new technology, but now it's really great. Next. So that's the lead clinician's feedback from our ED who was involved in designing TriVice with us. So we felt very important that the stakeholders, in our case, the ED clinicians and the digital lead for ED has helped us to really design TriVice in a way that we needed it. Next. So we made those posters, you can see, and hung them across the trust to tell everybody. What I didn't tell you now, that we've also gone live about a year ago, that all extravasation referrals in the trust are going through TriVice, which has saved a significant amount of time. Usually when we get an externalization referral, you have somebody on the phone who says, oh, so what's gone through? I don't know. How much has gone through? I don't know. What time has it gone through? I don't know. Whereas now with TriVice, they have to put everything down and everything is recorded, which is really important legally as well. Next.
Lovely. Well, I think that comes to the end of the presentation, and a wonderful presentation, Andrea. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And the audience will have a chance to ask any questions at the end of our webinar for Andrea. So please just use your chat when we get to that section. So I'm now going to pass you over. I'm going to quickly share my other screen, so just bear with me. Going back to the webinar, and I would now like to invite our other co-founder of the company, also an innovator, Krishna.
Thank you. Thanks for that introduction. Hi, Jacqueline. Good afternoon,
Hi.
all. And thanks, Jacqueline, Valleesh, and Andrea for a wonderful presentation. So I'll go through our journey of how did we build that? How did we co-design it? If you have any questions, you can type in Q&A section. So there's on top of your toolbar, you'll say a Q&A section, and where you can type your questions if you have a question right now. and then Jacqueline will read those and we'll try and answer those question and answer. So thank you very much. And it's a brief introduction. So yeah, when we first started our journey to develop TriVice, our vision was very ambitious. Actually, we wanted to build a really big thing, but we realized I think we need to take a small step. We knew the challenges of transforming. It won't be just a simple technology innovation. It will be a cultural change, a mindset change, how to implement, which Andrea has already highlighted that it initially took a lot of effort to convince them. So it's a real world pressure of clinical environment, and we knew about that thing. So yeah, next slide, please. Yeah. Uh, so I think the best solution was to co-design TriVice with Birmingham children. There was no other way. We could have gone to our lab or R&D section and built it without talking to various people. So in order to do that, yeah, next slide, please. System thinking, which probably if you have attended any NHS digital workshop, so they promote the system thinking, which is about finding the right problem to solve and then solve the problem in a right way. So that's very crucial. This is called as 4D model of system thinking. Next slide, please. So basically, it starts with the first D is your discovery phase, where we spend loads of time with healthcare professionals like doctors, surgeons, nurses, administrative staff, booking team, appointment booking team, theater staff, and learning about the real life challenges they face on day to day while triaging the patient. We also listened to families because there were a number of people we saw that either language issue or the message was not, or the letter arrived very late, or phone call, they missed call, or those kind of thing, and they did not arrive for procedure. So we spoke to them, and that is after speaking to them, we said, okay, these are a number of problems, and let's pick one big problem which we're going to solve. So that is the define phase, where we started analyzing all the data we collected at the discovery phase. And along with hospital staff, we narrowed down to a big problem, and we knew that this is the problem we're going to resolve. And then we started making sure that we are reducing the unnecessary A&E visits, improving patient outcomes, also supporting clinician to make the decision faster and safer decision. And once we had those things, well-defined problem, well-defined proposed solution, we started doing a development phase where we began prototyping to show and then get the feedback from our stakeholders, such as staff, hospital staff, clinicians, parents, patient group. And we started getting and it was a very iterative approach we took. Every 2 weeks we will stop and then we'll look at what we have achieved. So the prototype actually helped us to visualize the product in not just us. When I say us, that means it's hospital staff, clinicians, developers, everyone. It just gave us an opportunity to go and review what we were doing and provide the feedback so that we can do the course correction immediately if we're going in another direction. And also during this thing, we realized that there was the importance of red flagging alerts, if there's anything happening with it, if there's a safety issue or anything. And that is all. When we had that, we went into a delivery phase where this full-fledged development happened, and then we started piloting, doing the user acceptance tests with the ED consultants and within the plastic department. So we had 4 rounds of clinical testing actually of all the pathways to make sure we are giving the right decision support. So I'll move on to the next topic. I think the integration, as I think Andrea mentioned earlier about the integration, how crucial it was. So key challenge we found out was the legacy system. There are a number of, every hospital has got their own system. In our case, Birmingham using Lorenzo, which is behind a system called TIE, which is Trust Integration Engine. And there are a number of booking system, the theater booking system. All legacy system may not be a very compatible image sharing system and all those things. So we started working really collaboratively with IT team within the hospital. So the clinician team was initial design and understanding the problem. Then we started talking to IT team to understand how do we transfer, how do we keep the patient data safe and secure, encrypted, and then transfer it to hospital electronic health record system. And also at the same time, the process integration was also very crucial. How we go and move it to how each user group will get involved, like a practitioner, pediatricians will get involved, nurses will get involved, parents will get involved. So everyone within the system. So it's not only IT system or digital system, it was the whole overall system where a patient flows from front door and then gets discharged after going through a treatment or procedure. So that was very integrated. Moving on to how, what did we do? So adhering to best practices, that was, as we went along, we realized this is a clinical system we are building and we needed to have, as Andrea mentioned, golden standard. So yeah, clinical best practices. So we adopted to all the clinical best practices, evidence based practices from Royal College, the directions from Royal College, and everything we were combined together to make sure that the pathways which we're building are very robust. Again, multidisciplinary insights. So as I mentioned, that A&E people also got involved, whereas the plastic and hand trauma team also got involved, and admin team. So it was a multidisciplinary team coming and giving their feedback on while we were designing the system. So, and this will be a very typical question. All the clinicians do come and ask, what about the clinical risk? So it was very, we were very focused on managing the clinical risk. We adopted to NHS digital risk management process. And the biggest concern while we were developing this thing, management of clinical risk. And then what we did was, while designing, safety was the first thing. So safety by default, that is what we say is while designing that thing by design. So when we designing the system, we included all the safety features, clinical safety features right at the beginning. Any red flags, any safety concern or safeguarding issues, everything was included in the pathway, so that anything identifies that the referring clinician and receiving clinician could take immediate action of, like, something like informing police officer or informing social security people. Everything was built into the system. Next slide, please. With that, obviously the medical legal consideration came in place. We wanted to make sure we are covered, BWC is covered in case anything goes wrong. So legal scrutiny was very important. So we engaged with the internal medical legal team, external medical legal team who advises BWC, went through each language, sentences, to make sure that whatever advice we are giving is legally correct. And it complies to standards. We also have considered the DCB 160 standards for clinical safety while we're doing that thing, which is NHSX and NHS Digital, and legal and risk management. So right at the beginning, we worked with legal team to make sure that TriVice provides a very clear, actionable, and legally defensible advice, because the first fear was that, yeah, if we advise something and anything goes wrong with patient, what will happen? So we want to make sure patient is safe. We want to make sure clinicians are safe. Both are safe. Yeah. So that was the first consideration. And in order to defend, or in order to support our procedure, we had a very robust audit trail. System records everything, right from the beginning, when the referring clinician from ED or from GP or from different hospital referring, it just starts recording everything. When was created, when was it submitted, what images been submitted, and at what time some email has gone, notification. Every audit trail is very clearly recorded, so that in future anything happens, you can go and do that. Next thing, we moved on to consent process, because we knew that we are collecting images of clinical images, or for example, images of injury, or for ophthalmology, collecting the, let's say, eye movement, which is again the patient's face coming on that thing. We collected our consent right at the beginning of taking pictures. And that has helped us in building trust between patient, trust, clinical users and admin people. So I think that was a very important part as we went and did that. So moving on to after completing that, yeah, please this is my final screen. So what we did was actually the success within plastic was well rewarded by ophthalmology quickly adopting to that. As Andrea was mentioning earlier, ophthalmology went on to actually deliver around 7 to 8 pathways, not just 3 pathways. So they gone into everything, whatever possibly they could think of. Again, rheumatology came on board. PIMS was very prevalent during the COVID time, so they came and they completed everything. So yeah, specialized pathways. So the platform now provide the ability to configure more pathways, any specialty, any pathways, number of pathways. Image capture. We have done all the clinical images. You can actually go and look at volumetric images, DICOM images, and everything you can see. So you don't need to wait for images to be transferred to your PAC system. Hours later, you're looking at the picture. Is instant, high quality images you can share between referring clinician to receiving clinician. And you can actually, if the scans, I've seen the OCT being sent. We've seen the fundus images being sent in plastic, actual images of injuries being sent, and everything has been sent there. So that is possible to do that. Clinical guidance and decision support. I think Andrea has explained that thing, gold standard, so I don't need to go through that. Again, they are very customizable to your trust, whichever trust is, if they want to specify that, yeah, this is our guidelines, we use that. Again, configurable. Otherwise, there's a default NICE guideline. That is what we follow. Patient, finally, patient engagement. So it keeps the patient engaged and families informed at every stage of referral. So right from the referral is received, or you've been referred to so-and-so hospital, now your next appointment is this, or if you need to send starvation instructions, that is being sent. All the bookings and everything, and even the feedback also at the end of all the procedure, the feedback questionnaire also can go back. As Andrea was Hans first project, she was mentioning, where we were thinking of trying to treatment a whole circle. Everything is communicated and everything is well audited and recorded in the system. So with that, I'll finish hopefully I've finished my time. I'll hand it back to Jacqueline. Jacqueline, over to you.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Krishna, for very detailed part of the presentation, especially based around the clinical safety. And that's important with any innovative product that goes out into healthcare. So I think it was really important to really focus on that. And thank you for sharing that with us, and also for being an innovator, because like I said before, innovation really matters. So thank you to all our panel. Just a conclusion here. The summary of the key points that were discussed today was the secondary care referral process challenges, our solution to overcome them, the impact that it had within BCH, the effectiveness to reduce unnecessary referrals, really highlighting the advice and guidance that it provides. And it also comes again with reducing the burden of clinicians, and really important for the patient experience, their time, and reducing all the unnecessary costs that obviously exist in the NHS and still exist. So closing remarks: utilizing and adopting new technology that seamlessly integrates with the current system has a profound effect right across the healthcare departments. And at this time, we will open the floor to any questions that you might have for our speakers. I just want to say thank you also for attending our first webinar. It is a series of 6 covering innovation. we have a lot of innovation going on. We're developing a lot of innovative products, so look out for any future webinars that we're hosting. Any updates and newsletters, follow us on LinkedIn. Obviously, we're on all the social media sites as well. And please do visit our website, and you can really grasp what we're doing in innovation for healthcare.
So question for Valleesh, what measures are in place to ensure patient data privacy and security when using TriVice? Valleesh, would you like to?
Yeah, good question, Alex. Thank you. So in terms of the measures that we have undertaken, so all our communication, digital communication between various different systems are completely encrypted, and they are secure by standard state-of-the-art encryption. So there is no data leakage or hacking while the data is on the move. At the same time, when the data is stored, we have ensured that all our systems are well within secure firewalls, and those are not easily accessible by any unauthorized third-party systems or bots or even humans. So we have made quite a bit of an effort to ensure that these are behind solid, secure walls. And as a company, we undergo yearly periodic checks, third-party audits on our underlying processes as well as the systems. So we undergo a very thorough third-party checks on what we have implemented and what we claim. So we constantly get a thumbs up from them regarding our processes and systems. Yeah. Any other questions?
Any more question you post? Okay, so somebody said, what kind of training and ongoing support do you provide to healthcare staff to ensure they use TriVice effectively? I'll have a go on that. So thanks, Adam. Nice question. We had a mix of the method we have used. So there were a number of we produced number of training videos. We produced training material. And also we held a surgery. So this was suggested by Andrea, because obviously there are a number of nurses started using for extravasation. And that is when we had introduced this training surgeries Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock, the first time when you come to work, and then start joining. And then every Tuesday and every Thursday at lunchtime. So we ran this workshop, 15 minutes, 20-minute workshop of, helping with it, how to register, how to raise basic model. And our training staff are made available throughout period of 2 months, so literally 2 months into each week, twice for 2 months. And people had the open calendar, they could book and they can join. And we actually gave them a one-to-one training, which definitely has helped. But at the same time, there were videos and posters, and we provided that. Yeah, so ongoing support, we have WhatsApp chat support, we have telephone support, we can email support. So these are the 3 types of support we provide for ongoing. We still have a number of, I think weekly, we see 5 to 6 new consultant or new clinicians joining, registering and asking for help, and we do instantly provide those help. Okay, any more conversation? Answered that. Any more questions?
Okay, I think that's everything. Some people have had to leave.
Okay, that's
slightly
fine.
early, so that's fine. The other questions that come in, we will. Oh, I have a question here.
Yeah.
And I put this to Krishna, and it's from Dr. Anil. In the development of your AI health tech solution, what clinical risks were identified, and how did you mitigate those risks to ensure patient safety and regulatory compliance?
Thanks, Dr. Anil. Nice, important question. So we one thing is right, safety by design, safety by while you're thinking of system, that is where we implemented all those things right at the beginning. And as I mentioned, that we follow NHS Digital's DCB 160 and 129, this clinical safety standards. So that is where we comply to those and make sure. And so what are the clinical risks were identified? That's a good question. So we did lots of brainstorming with various clinicians within our teams, and we listed them. So risk was patient incorrectly identified, while they're uploading images could be of a different patient, making sure that the correct image is being uploaded. Another clinical safety was that if there's a safeguarding issue, how do we identify that? During COVID time, there was a risk that the child or patient comes with the COVID infection and then maybe spread across the whole ward. So those things were identified. So and we knew that while we're designing, we make sure that we ask right question. We make sure that things are validated. For example, NHS number gets validated against the PDS or spine for making sure the correct patient's been identified. Again, any email addresses or phone number or parents or carers details, that gets validated. A clinician confirms that right image is being uploaded. So we build those mitigation within the system to avoid them occurring. And so far, and then we audit trail of that thing. So there were some cases where people say, no, we haven't received any notification from the system. So we had an audit trail of that thing. So that is how we have mitigated the risk and made sure the patients are safe. And at the same time, we are compliant with the NHS Digital's clinical safety standards.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Krishna. So yes, we will respond to any other questions that have come through, and we will let the panel. They will contact you to answer those questions. And
thanks, Dr. Anil.
Lovely, thank you. Yeah, thanks. Okay, thank you, Dr. Neil, for your message back. That's lovely. So anybody, any questions that are coming in, we will answer those questions and get back to the relevant person. As I said before, it's please head over to our website, have a look at the innovation and the products that are listed there. Have a look at the innovation that we're doing. And developing. I feel that obviously hosting our first webinar on TriVice has been it's been very interesting journey to actually share with our audience, not only the journey, but the power of innovation. And, the long-term aim is to transform healthcare. And just going back slightly on the leveraging of the AI, I think TriVice, it highlights the capabilities that it has and the incredible impact that it's already making. So head over and find out. And if you want to contact us, all our details will be at the end of the presentation that you'll all be sent, and you will also get a recording of this webinar today. So I'd just like to thank our, first of all, our guest speaker, Andrea, Krishna and Valleesh, co-founders of Capri Healthcare, Innovators. And what I will say on that note is continue to innovate. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.